Shut up and sit down.
Right, back again. What have we been up to? Right, a little bit of seat install for you. Bit of weathering on some of the seats as well. I'm still not 100% sure whether these foot plates should be metal or should be wood. I can't remember. Answers on a postcard, please. Bit of googling, I think, on that. As you can see, they're looking good. Ha! Also, one very deliberately vandalised seat. After all, this was the 80s, 70s and 80s even. But that's now going to be ready for passengers, and then I'll put the roof deck on this, and then that will be a sub-assembly then that I can get on with the wiring for. Excuse close peg. This is the upper deck. Again, seat stains, just letting everything dry off, and then I shall go back over some of this with a Q-tip just to get some of the stains a little bit better. In case you're wondering what's going on with the large hole on the side, that is for the LED to go in on the back of the box. On the side of the bus you have the destination, be it Piccadilly, Wandsworth, etc. And I want to light those. So I'm now at the stage where I'm beginning to butcher the model after building it to start accommodating back boxes for all the LEDs and that. So in case you wonder why these holes are here and not on your kit, it's because I've started to modify some of these pieces ready for the LED installation. So there's quite a bit of butchery to do on this kit. Excuse the rather noisy children outside, not mine, I hasten to add. But things like the interior window section of the bus, that will sit inside this piece here, which is the lower rear end of the bus under the window. But when it's all together, when it comes in kit form, everything just slots into place and is glued in. Well, I've got LEDs going in these three ports here, so obviously I need space at the back to accommodate the terminals, wiring, etc. So I'm now beginning to find that a lot of the interior panels are going to need sections removed. And then what I'll do is I'll re-glue it, just slightly proud of where it would be, making up a little styrene box to go around it so it does actually look part of the bus. But that'll enable me just to have the rear terminals of the lights come down. I can solder all the wires on and then cover it back up, and then once that's all blended, sanded and that, it'll look as if it was supposed to have been there. So that's the plan. Like anything, subject to change as I go along. I mean, this is as big a learning experience for me on this kit as it is for you guys. So please bear with me if I'm not uploading as frequently as I normally would. It's just because I may have hit a wall where I'm having to just plan the next stage on this kit so that I can attack it and get everything how I would like it to be. I tend to do a lot of dry fitting off camera and shaping and things like that, so that when we do actually film, I can give you as brief an explanation as possible. You'll notice on this as well, I've already started doing some of the weathering on the bus. Not sure how clear this is coming up on camera at the moment. Let's try and put a bit of light on the situation. It's beginning. It looks so much better by eye than it probably does on camera, but around the edges there's bits of dirt and stuff, you know, bits of road film and grime that would be picked up en route around a rather busy capital city. Again, this has just recently had a coat on there. It does look a bit OTT there, so again I'll clean that up. But I tend to put as much pigment or wash on, and then I go from dark to light, so I get all the real dark stuff on there, coat the whole kit, and then I take off what I don't particularly want on there. So like on that side panel there, again I'm not sure how well this is showing on camera, but this was absolutely pitch black at one point, and then I've just gone over for a few initial times just to start taking off, especially in the centre of the panels, as much pigment as possible, but leave build up in the seams and that. So then I'll go back over and start from the middle of a panel, and I'll work my way across, so that it looks like, you know, someone's been along with a broom or a mop or whatever and giving it a quick clean. If it's been through the brush wash, brush marks, you know, rain, dirt, anything on the roof stays there. But hopefully with some more photographs of the latter stages of the build, I'll be able to capture what it looks like in real life, because I'm sort of holding pieces up to the camera at the moment, and it's looking, you know, just bog standard red, which, you know, sitting at the bench looking at it with my own eyes, I can see all the different shades of weathering and things that I've been doing. So when I edit the video a bit later on, if I feel it's not capturing what I'm trying to project to you, I'll do a little slideshow with some photos that I've taken as I've been progressing on this build. Quite a few bits have been painted off camera, things like the bus, front and rear. Again, there's a hell of a lot of streaking on the roof, but again, I shall take off a lot of what I don't want. I want to put probably a couple of dents in the corner and some scratches where the bus has come along and there's been a tree overhanging and it's just thumped the corner. So there's loads of potential for this. Good old E-models, got myself a nice little civil engines weathering set there, so that I can go to town on the engine, get that where I want it to be. And it's just, today we'll be starting the assembly for the staircase. None of this is primed at the moment because I should be painting all of this in one as one assembly. So I've already gone round, excuse my arms, started the stairs, not put the upper treads on yet, they're off camera, just there. Letting them dry, and I shall put all the treads on, but I want to try and build this as a unit with the stairs and everything on it, because again I've had to modify this, and there's a huge chunk of the side there that I've taken out, so that when this sits, excuse me for reaching off camera, when this sits on the rear platform, let's try and get that a little bit more presentable for you all. When this sits in place, like so, where this panel came all the way down, it gave me a very, very small area for a circuit board. But once this is built, you'll see I've now, by chopping that out, I've given myself this entire space for all my electronic gizmos to go in. Microchip controller, capacitors, little circuit boards that's going to control all of the electronics side of things that's going into this, all the interior lighting, top and bottom deck, direction indicators, headlights, side lights, all of that is going to be controlled from in here with a removable panel, which I think I've already mentioned. But obviously I've got to plan ahead. So this is the difficult part for me with this build. As I'm going through, I'm sort of looking at parts. I tend to pre-cut them and sand them, look at the instructions, and decide then, right, okay, I've got to modify that, so I'll mark it with a Sharpie, do a little bit of trimming, dry fit it, and then I'll come on camera and assemble. So, like I said before, you know, not everyone will want a LED light their kit, so if some of my pieces do look a little different, it is because of what I'm planning on the later stages. By all means, carry on with your builds and ignore my modifications. I'll show the instructions of non-modified parts as I do the build for you. So we'll get started. So we'll get me cement. I've got some standard Tamiya cement there and a bit of extra thinnage. So let's get them ready. Some parts I'll be doing with extra thin, some parts I'll just be doing with the regular Tamiya cement. So something like this, I'll have a bit of extra thin on it, like so, just to get that in place. Closing panel there, and then regular Tamiya cement on stuff where I want it to really bite to begin with, and it just lets me get stuff where I need it to go. But all of this is the interior that sits just behind the bottom deck entrance, just where bags get kept and stuff, and this is all going to be done in the interior colour. But again, I want to try to get this built as a sub-assembly so that I can then move on to the other side pieces that I can get in place ready for the LED lighting, because that's going to be the key for me, is getting that all in situ. So a lot of this I am pretty much building out of sync from the instructions. So you might find when you do yours, if you're not LED lighting, stick to what it says in the instructions. But if you are going to go down the road like that I've chosen and do a lighting build, then you need to sort of prepare yourselves for working a little bit out of sync with things, just in case it throws you at all. It shouldn't do. You should be alright, but you never know. So again, we've got to figure out how all of these bits and bobs go so that we can start building the staircases, because this is, excuse the noise, this is a little picky at this stage. For me anyway, this is what I'm going off of. I've currently got these two bits. As you can see, I'm way off of sync on a lot of it. Purely and simply because I need to get the stairs built so that I can figure out all the space that I need for my LED lights. Because at the moment I'm trying to sort of get my head round it a little bit, because I know this staircase is going to be modified again because I've got LEDs sat behind here, so I'm going to have to section out little pieces. So part of me wants to glue it, part of me says you got to attack it with the Dremel yet. So I need to see how pieces are fitting together, or how they're going to fit together before I actually fit them together. I know what I mean. Even if you don't. Hopefully I'm making a bit more sense to you than I am to myself. But yeah, I kind of know what I'm doing. This is laughing. So yeah, I can put that in. Yeah. And then that sits on there. Like so. So really that can go on there. So it's that squishy stage with the glue. You just want it to bite enough so that you can pick the piece up and move on with it. Stairs. I like stairs. Sad, but hey. That's it. So, really need to figure out this one. Just jumpy one. That one goes over on there. So I haven't got to modify that piece. So that can go on. Because that's all going to be painted the same colour anyways. Cool. That's what we like to see. It's going together. And there's another one. Come back to this to see how this is sitting. Yeah, lovely. Lovely jubbly. Has got the fire extinguisher that goes on there. We don't want you falling off, so we'll give you a dab of the gloopy stuff. Fire extinguisher, get in. Starts taking shape bit by bit. comes together. Got loads of things painted. Lots to do, lots to do. It's going to be a really quite a challenging job to get the lighting in, but I really do feel once it's done and it's on the diorama, it's actually going to be a nice, attractive piece. So yeah, I'm pretty thrilled at the prospect of it being finished. But yeah, it's like anything, you want it done yesterday, don't you? So I haven't forgotten you there. This is me concentrating. Scary thought, eh? Yep, I do actually concentrate, believe it or not. A man's best friend, little closed pegs. Ah, don't do this to me. Fat fingers. There you go. Oh, disaster averted. I think the closed peg might have helped it on its merry way there, so let the glue do its job. That's my motto, let's whack a bit of extra thin in there. Because again, before this gets painted, I should be attacking it with the old putteroony. Squish. There you go. And that enables me to really eyeball this and figure out where my modifications have got to take place, so that I can get on with it. So I think some of these are dry, so I can start putting them on. That's the theory. So give these a little go over with the sander, because they can all be finished with once I've got them in place. You will go. There you go. A little bit more overhang on them than I remember when I was a lad. Let's give these a little bit of treatment. I have a feeling that where they're a little bit of a tight fit, I don't want to go too mad and actually pop this apart again. So by getting these in now, I can get the stairs sitting one where they belong, but also with the treads in place. I can then see if and what I need to do to bed these down a bit better. But so far, not too bad. A little bit of weathering, pigment, a bit more panel wash on these, and I think these will age wood quite nicely. So, a little bit of Starship filth in a few places, and Bob's your uncle. Talking of Starship filth, in case you wonder, normally you get it in your tubes, like so. Antilone 502 Starship filth. Normally squeeze a bit out, a bit of artist oil thinners, whatever. Thin it down. Mineral spirits, odourless thinners. You use it and then you end up with a load left and you throw it away. So, keep these, because when they're empty, you can pre-mix a bit of Starship filth in one of these bottles, give it a good old shake. As you can see, you've now made your own Starship filth brusher. Oh! Okay. Top tip from Festa: keep your extra thin cement bottles, and you can make up a nice batch of Starship filth. And use that until your heart's content. That's what I do. Others do it differently, you know, they'll mix up a batch as and when they need it. But so far, I've actually found that I can use that as and when I want. It never seems to thin out or whatever. It separates out in the bottle. By giving it a little shake again before you're about to use it, it just agitates it enough for you to apply. So, Uncle Festa's top tip of the day: save your extra thin cement bottles. You can use the ordinary one, Tomato cement bottle as well, the white one, but the brush is a bit bigger. So I would be inclined to use those probably for larger kits, tanks, things like that, if you're weathering a tank. But you might want to use that to apply your gunk washes, pigments to the tank tracks, the underside or what. But I find the extra thin bottles, especially when you're doing panel gaps, like on the bus in front of us, you can just give it a dab. It'll run along the seam quite happily, and you just go over it like you would normally, and you got yourself an oil brusher. Really is the best one. I mean, I have got off camera as well the Starship filth oil brushes. Now these are good, they are good, but I found them can be a little thick, and you'll go over it with a brush dipped in mineral thinners, or odorless terps, whatever you want to call it, to brush it around the kit. And I just thought to myself, yeah, alright, all well and good. I just thought I could do something a little bit more for me. So I use my extra thin cement bottles, and I find it really does the job. So again, give it a try. What can you're not going to lose nothing if you've got any Starship filth laying around. give it a try. If it works for you, fine. If it don't, no one's lost anything. But I must admit, I find it quite helpful. Little things like that, you know, I just think, well, you know, saves wasting it. I hate wastage, unnecessary wastage. You know, and all right, you know, Starship Fil's readily available. It is when Tony's not advertising it, of course, because the rest of us can't get any. But you know, the models have now got some back in stock, so yeah. Rather than waste it, you know, try and get it to spread a little further. And that's what I do. It works for me. It makes my filth tubes last, you know, forever and a day. To be honest with you, I mean, I've had my 2 tubes of Starship Filth a couple of years, and literally that batch in that bottle, 6 months, and I've barely used any. You know, so it does last. You know, and I know I've got enough there pretty much until I'm about 150 to get through pretty much all the builds I need to. Give it a whirl. If you're struggling to get hold of the Starship Filth, you can get it from their supply for the mix site as well. But it's gradually becoming available again. So it's like anything, you know, you pay a bit for the oil brushes, and they've got a job. They do a good job. I do like mine quite runny. You know, I like to touch a piece and bosh, in it goes. Finds its own way around the panel gap and saves me a lot of faffing. So, these steps are going in pretty rapidly, I know, but there is a reason behind it, because I can let this all settle down this evening and then come back at it and give it a weathering and a faff around with it and really sort of get in there with what I need. So I shall keep these stairs in 2 pieces today, because I want to get underneath these edges with a bit of paint just to finish them off. But again, you know, I do the initial coat on the sprues just so that I can see whether or not my plan for the weathering is going to work. Which, you know, if it all ends in tears, I'll just repaint it. So far, so good. My optimism is there. Notice I don't want these to come off, so there's plenty of glue going on. It's beginning to look like a set of stairs. That'll sit on there like so. Oh, look at it! Look at that! Oh! What you got in there? Let that all go off quite nicely. Because that will then join on this section, which is where all the lighting gets modified. So I need to drill that so that I can see where the holes are coming through, and then modify one of these runners. I think is going to have a section removed just to enable the terminals to come down. I might be able to get away with grinding off a corner. I don't know. Again, this is where I'm stopping and starting on this build just to dry fit things and see where I need to make changes for the lighting situation. So I do apologise if it's a little stop start, but it's because I'm doing other things with this kit. When I've done this video, what I shall do is I might probably upload one review or whatever, where I'll assume that whoever's building it is not lighting it, so it'll be a quick breakdown of the build rather than the more in-depth ones that we've been doing. So, I really want that corner to buy. It will buy. Is that going to work? I'll soon find out. Because them two runners have been a little bit of a dog. So they can have a peggaroonie on them to hold them in place. So that is glued nicely. He says a little bit of extra thin in there just to make you sit down and behave. Gloopy stuff's alright to get an initial bond, but that squish that extra thin gives you on a piece, as Tony and Fox or know, you know, the squish stage, you want to get the bits together, squish together, use the plastic's own melting state as a filler. Because this colour here is going to be painted on there, so that'll all blend in. So, a little bit of sanding on that. I think I'll drill the holes for that. So let's have a quick move around. See what bits and pieces I've got laying around, because I'm not sure whether I've done any drilling for this one on camera for you guys. But we're about to, so just off camera. A trusty little Bosch cordless driver, one chuck, absolute diamond of a thing to have. And then I'll give that a drill, and it is literally straight in. So. See? It just goes through that absolutely perfectly. I haven't gone all the way through because I tend to do the last bit by hand, which is just holding the chuck. Pretty self-explanatory, but pretty much. Actually, that one went through, so let's give it a go. There you go. So that's two down. That's the LED one I'm interested in most. That one there, but we might as well do all of them. anticipation, because it lets me see where things are going to come out. And again, you can use this as a hand drill to do bits and pieces with, so it's an absolute godsend. Only a few quid off of one of the auction sites, but so if I lose that, that then gives me what I'm after LED wise. Let's just give that a little run through just to knock off any rogue trimmage. So, see, and then that piece sits in like that. So straight away, see, there's a light that's going to come through here. Where are you? Oh no, you're underneath. It's this one, the middle one. So it's on a stair. So let's figure you out once and for all. You're going to be reasonably okay there. So it's a box underneath there. So I'm going to send. So I'm talking to myself here. I do apologise, viewers. I'm going to send the terminals for this bulb. They're going to come up and along. I might get away with putting that back actually and knocking out the box just below it. So we'll rethink that. But my initial assessment is, let's pop the drill back in there. Because I want to see, and that's that easy using that as a hand drill. So and that's just popped a hole straight through there. So now I can forget about that. I've got my initial hole where I know my stairs are going to be, which are these ones, and then I can just remove that and figure out now on the stair where I've got to do a mod, and it is literally just on that edge there. So I can now mark that. So it's going to be a case, I think I might get away with that, sending the terminals down at an angle. So rather than drill right the way through, this is quite thick plastic. I reckon I could get as near to that edge as possible. And then get in my old faithful Sharpie. It says, just move the one I'm after. Come on, you little turd. There you go. Excuse arms. So just mark that. I reckon a bit of filing on there to notch that little bit out of there. Should give me enough for the LED terminals. Again, I'm going to dry fit an LED off camera and see what I need to do to modify that piece. But that's quite informative for me at this stage, because I can now say, right, I can put that in situ, see where it's going to come out, and I reckon I can send the terminals down under here, so that will go this piece here. Lose all of that. Section. So none of that will be there. Chop that out. This is all stuff I normally do off camera. It just gives you an idea of the processes involved. So I'll lose all of that, chop that out, and then the light bulb itself will go through, but the actual anode and cathode terminals will come down and then come out underneath the stairs, which means that I'll probably only have to run the drill along there at an angle just to notch that out. I might not end up having to chew the stairs up. Okay, learn something new every day, which will then enable me to put all of that on. Shove that back in there. I still think though there's a seam where there is actually a seam there. I could probably utilise that cavity that's in the box there and send the terminals up there. Don't know, need to think about it. It's going to look a bit like a blind cobbler's thumb having a box broken out. But I suppose I could join it, talking to myself here, I suppose I could join the box I built up to that, so it almost extends this down and disguise it, put a little sign on it or a little health and safety sticker or something, just to take away from the fact that I've been in there and had to do a bit of butchery. So that's where we are for the moment. I'm going to let all this dry, so I shall pause, and then when you next see me, it will be assembling bits and pieces that I've actually put bulbs into, dry fit, and get that all ready. Other than that, there's not really too much more before we start the stage for the wiring, which I'm really looking forward to. When I first started this build, a few of my friends got in touch when they found out I've managed to get hold of one of these. A couple of them were straight away on the phone saying, what's your plans for it? You know, what are you going to do with it? And as soon as I said LEDs, passengers, and all that, their eyes lit up. So I'm hoping that this is really going to be worth our while. Anywho, I'll pause there and see you in a minute.